Hare Krishna. In this post of Sravanam-Smaranam, we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 3rd chapter, 20th and 21st shlokas. These are the Yamaraja's instructions to his messengers. Context is story of Ajamila. Swayambhur Naradas Shambhuhu Kumarah Kapilo Manuhu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balirvaya Shakirvayam. Swayambhur Naradas Shambhuhu Kumarah Kapilo Manuhu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balirvaya Sakirvayam. Dvadishaiti Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Bhataha Guhyam Vishuddham Dhirbodham Yam Jnatvam Ashnute. Dvadishaiti Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Bhataha Guhyam Vishuddham Dhirbodham Yam Jnatvam Ashnute. Swayambhur Naradha Shambhuhu Kumarak Kapilo Manuhu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balirvaya Sakhirvayam. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3rd, 20th and 21st shlokas. Yamaraja's instructions to his messengers. The 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam basically starts from the story, the very, very famous story of Ajamila. The first chapter talks about the story of Ajamila, how a good Brahmana or orthodox Brahmana who knew all the religious principles gets deviated when he comes under the clutches of temptations of Maya, and how he spoils his life, but to his great fortune and luck, because he chants the name of Narayana at the end of his life, he gets liberated and he is taken back to Vishnu Loka. So after he dies, there was a discussion that happens between Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas, as we all know. And after prolonged discussions, Vishnu Dutas convince Yamadutas that Ajamila is deserving candidate to be taken to Vishnu Loka or Vaikuntha. So after this incident happens, when the messengers of Yamaraja meet him, Yamaraja gives them a very good knowledge about devotional service and religious principles, stressing again the importance of chanting of the holy name as the beginning, end and throughout the process of devotional service. And here the second part of the shloka, I have written the translation on the board. My dear servant, this transcendental religious principle, which is known as Bhagavata Dharma or surrender to Lord and love for Him, is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. This is very confidential and difficult to understand. But if by chance and one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated and taken back to Godhead. So here Yamaraja is telling the transcendental religious principle, which is known as Bhagavata Dharma, which in Kali Yuga translates to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, and a surrender process through that means and methods is very confidential, but if one can understand it by chance, he has a chance to go back to Godhead or get liberated. So this is a basic principle. The whole Ajamila story revolves with a good philosophical moral about the importance of the chanting of the holy name. And Ajamila, even though he did not chant in its pure devotional form, when he called up his grandson Narayana, but even then he could attain the love of Godhead, in the sense that he was taken back to Vaikuntha Loka. So Acharyas stress the holy name, importance of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, glorifying the holy name, particularly in this age of Kali. We are also are like Ajamilas, because with all given our material comforts, we are also are very much prone and subjected to the acts of Maya and acts of temptation, because the world in which we live is full of temptations and is full of places where all the four regulative principles are broken. Just the way Ajamila went down in his path of devotional service by breaking all the four regulative principles, that is meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit relationships. So we are also are subjected to these kind of temptations in our modern life. So we have to be careful and should take the shelter of the holy names of the Lord. And in this particular verse, there are two important meanings that come out very strongly. One is Yamadharmaraj is telling that there are four great people whom we should take as our role models to know the transcendental knowledge, to gain love of Godhead, to move forward in our devotional service. It also emphasizes the greatness and importance of taking shelter of great people in the path of our devotional service. Just like these Mahajans, there are several other Mahajans which came into being in the history who had followed these Mahajans and who have demonstrated how to follow the teachings of Mahajans and the teachings of the Supreme Lord Himself. So people like Ramanujacharya, Vallabhacharya, Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these great people and the disciples of whom are very kind and compassionate towards living entities like us, who time and again come on in this material world to teach us the love of Godhead and to teach us the path of devotion. So we should take the opportunity of such authorized acharyas who come in parampara, be it Rudra Sampradaya, be it Sri Sampradaya, that is Sri Vaishnava, be it Madhva Sampradaya, be it Kumara Sampradaya, whichever Sampradaya it may be, but we should take the advantage of the teachings of the pure devotees of the Lord so that we can move on in our path of devotion. So knowledge of 12 Mahajans and importance of following the Mahajans and the Mahajans and become servants of their servants, and understanding the what is known as Bhagavata Dharma, which could be confidential and may be difficult to understand if we try to do in our own way, but it becomes easier if we follow the footsteps of these great people. This is one point. And the second point, of course, as I mentioned again, the Ajamila story life basically repeatedly teaches us the importance of chanting of the holy name. Ajamila was fortunate enough to chant and remember his grandson Narayana, but we all may not have that opportunity. So that's the reason why, as a part of the Bhagavata Dharma practice, we are also supposed to do sadhana bhakti. The first step in that sadhana bhakti is to follow the four regulative principles and then regularly chant the holy names of the Lord and also remember Him. Just like the way in the previous post we saw how Kunti Devi has stressed the importance of chanting, remembering and glorifying the Lord, Sravanam-Smaranam, Kirtanam, and how Prahlad Maharaj has given us the 9 processes of bhakti. We should never forget these principles and follow their footsteps and their teachings. Then only our purpose of our life will be fulfilled and our purpose of life can be called as beneficial. Or a profit, if you have to calculate a profit and loss of our life, that is measured by how well we can remember the Lord at the end of our life. To this context, there is one very nice instruction that comes in early cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 2, Chapter 1, 6th Shloka. Etaman Sankhya Yoga Bhyam Swadharma Parinishthaya Janmalabha Parapumsam Ante Narayana Smritihi. Etavan Sankhya Yoga Abhyam. One is very well situated in understanding the Sankhya Yoga or the science of self-realization, and Swadharma Parinishthaya. He is very good at doing his prescribed duties, but Janma Labha Parapumsam, if we have to measure the real benefit of taking birth as a human being, is Ante Narayana Smriti, how well he can remember the names of the Lord. So we also see the departure of the great devotees, many of the great devotees from this material world happens while they are chanting, while they are meditating on the Lord, while they are in the midst of the devotees. They leave the world very peacefully, doing their devotional service right till the end. There are many, many great devotees. One particular devotee whom I can quote and always remember is founder Acharya of International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Till the last breath, he was chanting the holy names. He was listening to the chanting. He was translating Srimad Bhagavatam. He was asking the questions of his disciples as he breathed his last in this material world. Like that, many, many examples we see that God gives them an opportunity for the devotees to remember and to be with devotees and to be thinking about Him before they leave this world. Another great example which we have already discussed in one of these posts is about Bhishma Dev. He was also fortunate enough to have Vasudev in front of him as he desired before he left his body. So, two basic points. One is the importance of chanting of the holy names through the story of Ajamila, which is very, very famous story, well talked about story, as an instructive example story, as a moral example story, as a philosophical understanding story. And then that to have the knowledge that there are four great personalities named as Mahajans whose footsteps we have to follow, because they have followed the footsteps of the instructions that were given to them by the Lord, or directly or through His messengers and disciples and avatars. So we have to follow them or follow the followers of those followers and be humble to them in their instructions and try to follow what they are saying, particularly for the benefit of us in the age of Kali, where we are all in a way or having a bit or more of Ajamila consciousness because of our environment, of our situation, wherein we have very easy access to get tempted and fall down and get into the clutches of Maya, much more than probably what even Ajamila had. So in this context, since we are in Kali Yuga, where all roads are closed in the path of goodness, we have to take the shelter of Krishna and his devotees, like these Mahajans which have been given in this shloka, and humbly pray to the Lord so that we can move forward in our devotional service. Hare Krishna. I'll read the shloka once again with the meaning. Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 3rd chapter, 28th and 21st shlokas. Yamaraja's instructions to his messengers. Context is Ajamila story. Swayambhur Narada Shambhuhu Kumara Kapilo Manuhu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balirvaya Sakhirvayam Dwadishaiti Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Bhataha Guhyam Vishuddham Durbodham Yam Gnatvam My dear servants, this transcendental religious principle, which is known as Bhagavata Dharma or surrender to the Lord and love for Him, is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. This is very confidential and difficult to understand. But by chance and one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated or goes back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, today in this post, you are very fortunate enough not to see me because my spiritual guide my friend and the photographer of this series of post of Sravanam Kirtanam, which is my wife. She's on holiday in India, so I have to do the job behind the camera, so I cannot come in front of the camera. So we wish by next week or so she will be back and I should be back seeing you, or you will be able to see me in person. So in this mood of Ajamila, remembering Lord Narayana at the end of his life and getting the benefit, we shall also humbly request the lordships and their disciples who are like a Mahajanas to us, the great Acharyas, the great personalities who have come onto this world to teach us the importance of the chanting of the holy name, particularly in this age of Kali. With this, I remain, and we will, from next post onwards, we will cover small important points about these two Mahajanas. Probably we'll cover 2 or 3 per post. So I repeat the names of these Mahajanas. Swayambhur is Lord Brahma, Narada is the great devotee Narada, Shambhu is Lord Shiva, Kumara is the 4 Kumaras, Kapila is son of Dev who is the Kapil Dev, Manuhu, Prahlad is Bhakta Prahlad, Janaka is the Janak Maharaj, father of Sita Devi, Bhishma is Bhishma Pitamaha, Bali Maharaj, Vayasakir is Sukadev Goswami, Vayam is Yamaraj himself. So Yamaraj is telling a lot of things about devotional service to his messengers who had just come after confronting Vishnadutas about what to do with Ajamila. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.